So, only day fishing at the moment. I'm up at the crack of dawn, not going to be too noisy, don't want to wake all the neighbours up. Gear is on the van. When we get to the lake, we'll have a chat about fishing days only. So I've just dropped the barrow off and have a little walk around the lake. And as always, the furthest walk and the last swim on the lake, for me, offers the best chance for a bite today. We're still in lockdown and I have got to stick to my local area. This lake I'm fishing is known as Jimmy's. It's about 15 minutes from my front door. It's got a lovely stock of fish to about 35 pounds. And you know what, I'm feeling quite confident. There's still cat ice in the margins, freezing cold day, but you've got to be in it to win it. We've got one day to catch a fish, let's see what we can do. This is definitely where I'm going to start. I've dropped my bucket in the swim, going to unload my barra, get the pod axe. It's all platform swims here. I don't normally like pods, but you've got no choice here, so I've got the pod out today. Fingers crossed. Do you know what, it's freezing, but I'm feeling lucky. Tell you what, I'm hoping we don't have to abort mission, because as we're setting up, the lake is actually freezing before our eyes. What we're hoping is as that sun comes up, it's going to melt the ice from the lake. Winter fishing don't really get much colder than this. Lake freezing in front of you. On this rod, got a little helicopter rig. The lake is very silty, very shallow. So I've put the top bead up about 6 inches. Little Ronnie rig on the end of that. High vis bait, something nice and smelly that's going to attract them at this time of the year. So I'm going to get this rod out just off the edge of that snag, hopefully get the line down before the ice gets there. Okay, that's the second rod out. There's not really much room to put the third out. It's all icing over. So I'm happy to get the 2 rods in place that I have. Maybe get a little bit of bait in. I'm not going to go mad. Less than 10 baits in the area. This time of year, the digestion levels of a carp are so low it can barely eat anything unless it's crumb. So just remember that. You start putting in loads of boilies, you're going to fill them very quick. So a little bit of crumb or less than 10 boilies will do you on a nice little spot like that. So I'm just sinking the braid. And because the lake's very shallow, I don't want a tight line going through it. So I'm sinking it down, leaving it semi-slack, bobbing nice and low. As soon as you get a bite, instant indication on braid. That's why I like it on waters like this. On another water, I might use monofilament, but particularly on a lake like this, fishing along snags, semi-slack, I'm going to get an instant indication on the braid. So I've got a little apex hook on here, size 6, super sharp, you can see how sharp that is. And what I've done, I've got a little IB wafter on there, soaked in goo, just trying to get as much smell coming out of that water as I can. That's going to be a single hook bait, cast over to the edge of the bush line, and then we'll have 3 rods in before the ice arrives. But I tell you what, without this gas canister cover being heated, I think you'd have been waiting a good 25 minutes to boil a kettle this morning. But I just put it on the power pack, gave it 5 minutes, it warmed that bottle up nicely, and we've got a cup of tea on the go. It's probably about -2 this morning, so you really do need one of these in the winter. Fish. Good. It's got behind them stumps. Gonna go up there, Max, quickly see if I can get it out. I'm trying to get it from under the ice, look. It's a problem. Also, I've just hooked a fish, but he's found a snag on that far bank, and what's making it difficult to get it in is the ice. As I've lifted the rod, couldn't get the angle on it because the ice is stopping me getting the angle, but we'll take the bail arm off, see if we can get him to move. Well, unfortunately, due to the ice, I couldn't get the angle on the fish, and I got a hook pull as it got round the back of the snag, but the ice really has cost me a fish there. Hopefully it's going to melt, but it is a good sign. Even with the water as cold as it is, and it don't get much colder than this, the fish are still feeding. Well, that seems like that's definitely a good spot for a bite, but unfortunately it's now completely iced over where I caught the fish, so with that sun coming out, I don't think it'd be long before we can get another rod back out into that area. And with the ice gone, I can get a better angle on the fish. Fingers crossed we'll get the next one in. Very unlucky on a very cold day to lose a fish, but it's a good sign anyway. So in these circumstances, I'd normally use a crusher, but this particular lake has a lot of silver fish, and I don't want to track them into the swim, so the half a boil is just big enough to stop them whittling it away and getting a bit of bait in there for the carp. So we're roughly halfway through the day at the moment, still waiting for some of the ice to melt. The thing with day ticket carp, don't just assume they're going to be easy to catch. Generally that only happens because there are more of them, but your average day ticket carp will see more rigs and hooks than most syndicate fish because the pressure that is constantly on them. So they become very adept at dealing with rigs, so don't just assume they're going to be easy. They're very, very smart carp, as they're proving to be today. Low temperatures, bright clear sunshine. Let's hope something else is going to happen. Well, how welcome's that? A bite literally from under the ice. We've just caught a carp. And I was just saying to the cameraman, today could be a real struggle because they don't come much colder than today. Let's get him out and have a look. Well, probably only about 14 pounds, but he makes up for the one we lost under the ice. What an absolutely gorgeous little common, and freezing cold like a block of ice. And if we can catch them from under the ice, the rest of this series should be pretty good. Relief to get that one in, I tell you. Can't get the rods back out because most of the lake is iced over, but I'm going to get him back, sit back and get the kettle on because I am cold. Oh, freezing. Let's get that kettle on. Right, I'm just going to talk to you about the rig we caught that fish on. It's on a simple lead clip, 7 inches of 25-pound soft coated camo to a size 4 apex hook, and that's fish blowback style. But this rig I call the pop down rig. I put a treble A shot just underneath the pop up that allows the hook to sit flat on the bottom and the pop up to come a couple of millimetres off of that weight. And it just sits there wafting around. If there's any debris or a bad smelling bottom, it's just sitting up off it. As the fish sucks it up, the hook drops down, gives you a brilliant hook hold every time. I use this rig a lot, all the way through the year, not just the winter. I tell you, I am a real fan of the new smaller 7.5 litre bucket. Reason being, it's perfect for sessions like this. You can fit 2 or 3 kilo in it, which is more than enough for a winter's day session. And in the top, you've got the insert. I use this all the time now and keep it on my bivvy table, whether I'm bivvied up or just a day session. I keep my needles, floss, spare PVA, boilie stops, everything you need to handle you might need at night. And that sits on my bivvy table with my PVA. I always bring a bivvy table, even in the winter. It's somewhere to put your keys so you ain't losing them, keeps everything dry and off the floor. Absolutely excellent bit of kit. Every winter I've spent on the bank. There's never a winter I've missed other than if I was out of the country, but most of them winters I've been here, and I've spent them fishing for carp. So I've learned a lot over the years about winter carp fishing. Location becomes a lot more important. I can remember going back to fishing like the reservoirs at Walthamstow. I spent 4 years fishing them. They were all days only, so you're fishing like I am today. Your kit is nice and compact, you've got everything to hand. If I need to move, it's literally going to take me 5 minutes. So you're a very mobile angler when you're fishing days. Even going back to my campaign on the Rise last winter, in January I managed to catch a 40 pounder, some 30 pounders. Freezing cold time of the year, but once I located them, I started to catch fish quite regularly. So in the winter, finding where they are is definitely important. Today when I got here, there was anglers fishing the car parks with me. It was nice and easy for them. I've walked the whole way around the lake because I saw some snags that I thought would offer me the best chance for bite, because I know carp love big snags in the winter and it would give their location away. Already we've had 2 bites and I've been told it's been fishing slowly, so I'm happy with the result already. So I can think of multiple venues offhand that were always only days. The Walthamstow complex fished all 7 of the reservoirs on there. Brackstick Back Lake, when I was targeting the big common, was only days. Sutton at Hone in Kent was only days, and it never stopped me catching then. And us being on only days now won't stop us catching now. Just get in the right mindset, get your kit organised, a nice little day chair, bit of tea kit, a small packed lunch, and you're fishing for a day. And if you go for one day and you don't catch anything, you ain't really lost anything. But if you go for a few hours and you catch one, even better. After spending a day of what I can only call quite restrictive fishing from the ice, we've ended up with one. So we had one, we lost one, and the bites came from where I thought they would, which was the snag. I did roam a rod around trying to find some other fish when it was possible, but the sheets of ice across the lake have made that quite difficult. Now it's almost time to pack up, And one thing I always do is I pack up reasonably early in the daylight, because when you're doing days, it's easy to leave something as you're landing net, even your bite alarms. I've seen it many times on day only waters. So I'll get everything away, just the rods on the floor to try and nick one more bite. Gonna get everything on the barra now. So really, we've only been fishing relatively a short amount of hours. We ain't wasted a lot of time. If we had blank today, it was just a nice day out on a chilly day. So join me next time where we're going to be on another day ticket using different tactics to try and outwit these day ticket carp. I've got something on here, mate. I've got something on here. Okay, just packing up and the rod's gone on the floor. Picked it up and whatever it is feels very heavy. And I've got a feeling the culprit may not be a carp, because this lake is very famous for a particular species with a lot of whiskers. Very cold time of the year to be catching these. I just heard the old bait runner start to go, and we've got a fish on. So far I've not even moved it, so if it's a carp, it's the biggest carp in the lake. Definitely a catfish. I've seen it roll on the top. Something you don't often see in January. Well, didn't think we'd be seeing one of them in January on a freezing cold day. But seeing as he's in the net, let's get him out and have a look. Silurus silurus, or known to us as the Wells catfish. Some carp anglers don't like these, but with his marble colours and his depth effects, I've got to say I quite like them. This one's probably a high 20. Gorgeous creature. Don't normally come out in January, so I'm going to stick him back. No doubt he'll go and hibernate somewhere. And the reason some people don't like them, they're bloody slimy. Let's get home to the warm.